So today I'm going to show you how to make gnocchi. Gnocchi is dead simple, just a couple of ingredients, two, possibly three. It's basically an Italian dumpling, if you like. It's a great way of describing it. Gnocchi, I kind of think it's kind of classed as a pasta, but it's great. It's great in all sorts of different sauces. You can put this into a white wine mushroom type sauce, a bolognese sauce, anything really. But what I'm going to do today over here on the stove, I've got a marinara sauce, and I've made this because basically it's pretty simple to do, okay? And there is a recipe available in my archive somewhere on how to make this sauce. It goes beautiful with gnocchi. And what else we've got is a pan of water. So to start with gnocchi, what you need to do is you need about half a kilo of potatoes. You can use any potatoes. Certain ones are better at not absorbing so much water, like russet potatoes for instance are great. I'm just using jacket potatoes, big potatoes really. You need about half a kilo, like I said, of potatoes. Probably serve around about four people or so. Okay, so we've got a pan of water on the stove here that's coming to the boil. Add some salt to that. That's called a chef's pinch of salt, and bring that to the boil. Okay, so for your spuds, like I said, don't need to be too fussy with them, just get them peeled and cut them into halves or quarters because these are quite big. So there you go. As you can see, we've got about 500 grams of peeled potatoes now. Okay. Some people will tell you to boil these in their skins, and you know you can. It works as well. I don't like to do that. I like to get them peeled and boil them. They won't absorb too much water. They should be fine. Okay. So all we need to do now is to wait for this water to come to a boil, and then we can pop our potatoes in there and boil them for about 20 minutes, just until they're round about at the stage where they're ready for mashing. So as you can see, those potatoes are boiling away quite nicely now. They're going to take about 20 minutes or so. While they're boiling, we'll make up the other half of this gnocchi, the gnocchi ingredients. Okay, so you're going to get yourself a little container, a bowl of some sort, and we're going to need 175 grams of plain flour. Okay, pinch of salt, pinch of pepper. So let's measure out 175 grams of plain flour. There we are, that's just over 175 grams. Quarter of a teaspoon of pepper, and a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. So as you can see, our potatoes have been boiling now for about 20 minutes, and they've just got to the point where they're ready to be mashed up. Okay, so you don't want to overboil them, because that way they're just going to absorb lots more fluid, and the less fluid for gnocchi in your potatoes, the better. So we'll just check them again, and then we'll drain them out and let them dry out. Yeah, ready to go. So with our potatoes all dried out now, we're just going to mash them, and we are going to use a standard potato masher. Okay, bash them up, make them nice and soft. So as you can see, these potatoes are boiling hot at the moment, and you have to mash them really when they're boiling hot, because you get the best results that way. So keep going with these until they're nice and smooth. And there's no lumps left in them. So once they've been mashed, it's a good idea to let them cool down for a while before you combine your flour and pepper and salt mix into them, because otherwise you're going to work this with your hands and you're just going to burn your pinkies. Okay, so let it cool down for about 5 minutes, then we'll throw in the flour and we'll form that, and I'll show you how you form that into a gnocchi dough. So as you can see, we've flattened our mash out a little bit in the pan, and not that you have to really worry too much about that. And it's cooled down now, so I can get my hand in there and it's not going to burn my fingers. So what you want to do now, you've got, like I said, 175 grams of flour here. We're going to pop that into the pan, and we're just going to start mixing it in with our hands, okay? And basically just get your hands in here now and mix that potato and that flour together. And there you are, as you can see, it's starting to form together now, and it's all binding up, and it's a pretty good consistency, to be fair. Quite pleased with that. And then once you've got that all pretty much put together, you can tip it out onto a slightly floured surface, okay? Because if you find it's a little bit too sticky, you can just dust it with a little bit more flour, just so that it doesn't stick to your hands. If you take a piece off, look, and you can do that, and it doesn't stick to your hands, it's probably about right. There we go, roll that gnocchi dough around on the surface there, get up all the flour, and like I said, as long as you break a piece off, it doesn't really stick to your hands, you've got the consistency about right. So, on a floured surface that we've got prepped over here, we've got our gnocchi dough out. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the second stage, okay, probably the more complicated stage, which is still quite simple, is we are going to make the gnocchi shapes. First thing you need to do is to get your dough into a nice round shape, and then we're going to cut it into quarters. So as you can see, we've rolled our 1/4 of our gnocchi dough out into a long sort of tube, if you like, and it's about 2 centimeters, just under an inch sort of thick. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to cut it into gnocchi size pieces. And there we go. So we got about 19 to 20 pieces of gnocchi out of that. And to be honest with you, you can cook that like that. But what we want to do really is to shape it. Now you can do this a couple of ways. Traditional ways to have like a gnocchi board, which is a ribbed sort of board where you can roll the gnocchi off and you get sort of like a spiral line on it. But what I'm going to do, because I don't make this every single day, and you're probably not going to either, is I'm going to do it with a fork. So get yourself a fork and I'll show you the technique to actually marking this gnocchi up. And what we're going to do with that, once that gnocchi has been shaped, is we're going to just throw it onto the chopping board with a semolina, so it gets a nice sort of semolina coating, which adds a little bit more of a texture to the finished product. Okay, let me show you what you need to do. We're going to use a standard fork. Okay, this is just a normal fork that you've probably got in your cutlery drawer. And the idea is you get a piece of gnocchi and you're going to put it onto the top of the fork, and then what we'll do with your thumb, press it down so you get the marks and the gnocchi goes a bit flat, and then roll him off the fork and he should come out looking pretty cool. And you know, it doesn't really make that much difference what sort of a shape it comes out in, but you want it to look as good as possible. So we'll do the rest of these, and remember, keep flouring your fork. So let's get the heat up on this, and this gnocchi cooks really quickly, like I said, 3 minutes tops, okay? And you'll know it's cooked because it'll float to the top of the pan. Once it's floated to the top of the pan, pop it into its container, cover it in sauce. Beautiful, simple meal. So while that gnocchi's just coming to the float, what we're going to do is going to pop some of this marinara sauce into a tray. And they are going to be absolutely delicious. Gnocchi in marinara sauce. Enjoy.